Joining us now is an award-winning CEO in person of Dr. Chizor Malize. She is the Chief Executive Officer of the Financial Institutions Training Center. It's a pleasure to have you join me.
Thank you.
And with your 2 decades worth of experience in Pan-African leadership, you've witnessed all the shifts and the changes as well. What particular traits in leadership would you say have kept companies above water with all the shifts?
Strongest attributes for me, for leaders, number 1 is vision. The second is innovation. And the third is resilience. Vision is very critical for leaders because you must be able to see into the future. And great leaders draw from their experiences of the past, developments and successes to create their future. And that's what vision means. Strategy is very critical because it helps you to create a path to achieving the vision. So there is no way that you should walk without the compass because the strategy gives you the blueprint for that journey. Resilience is very critical as a leadership attribute because that equips the leaders to be able to consistently evolve. And that's because along the line of that journey, there would be changes, there would be development, there won't be detours. Nobody around the world saw COVID-19, and all of a sudden, leaders who anticipated change of any form were extremely ready to navigate and chart the new course.
Indeed, and I'm sure you've had a lot of personal experiences in navigating all that. But we also know that there's a new generation of leaders that are, rising, and there have been strong foundations that have been built by leaders past, and there are changes that they will have to come up with new ideas. So how do they merge the strong foundations that have been built, but at the same time adapt to the growing dynamics in the corporate world?
So the word is innovation. So leaders, young, mid-level, senior, board level, must consistently innovate. And because we are in a very changing world where the dynamics are always different from generation to generation, leaders must consistently create new things, chart new ways. And to be innovative is to be able to preempt the future, predict the future, understanding that anything can change at any time, but being able to create and design the things and solutions that would keep you ahead of your market. So innovation, therefore, allows leaders to retrospectively create new ways, new markets, new processes, new engagements and programs and partnerships that would enable them leapfrog into their success land.
And we know, especially this year, the disruptions globally, locally, the reforms, having to align with all of that, staying ahead, being futuristic in terms of leadership, right? Seeing it before it comes and preparing for it. What would you say is key, to that?
Again, staying ahead means understanding the market that you play, understanding the consumers that you serve. And it's irrespective of the sector that you work in, you certainly have stakeholders. And you must have to also have a good understanding of your stakeholders' fair, their expectations, their needs, and their requirements. And of course, they are changing expectations as well because they are not static either. And so to be able to make these anticipations means to be more scientific, very deliberate, very intentional about your direction. And more importantly also is to have strong understanding of the sphere and the space that you play so that authoritatively you are bringing solutions that are relevant to your stakeholder sphere. Whether you are in manufacturing, whether you are in oil and gas, whether you are in energy, whether you are in financial services, the changing times means that you must understand your stakeholder sphere, you must understand the market direction, you must understand the expectations of people. Consumer behavior changes every single day. So what Generation X actually expected of customers, markets, and all of that is totally different from what millennials and of course Gen Zs today expect. People are becoming more knowledgeable and more authoritative in their demands. So an average Gen X consumer knows that, hey, if you aren't serving her right or serving him right, it's not about sentiments. They cross carpet, they go to the persons who understand their needs and understand their peculiarities. They take their money to where it pays them, and they actually are consistently looking for value. And so as these changes begin to happen, both in terms of the generation and the consumers, Great leaders must align their opportunities and their offerings to what's relevant to their stakeholders, to their consumers, and even the internal people as well. Because the internal staff are also stakeholders, so you must be able to preempt and predict the needs of everybody and see that you are driving value. Because at the end of the day, it's about creating and delivering value.
Yeah, and it's less and less about sentiment.
Less and less about emotions and sentiments, yes.
So you have done considerable work at the FITC. What particular models or practices would you say have proven most effective in leadership, especially in the times we're in?
I love to speak about models. I love to speak about frameworks. And before that, just to unwind a little bit in terms of FITC, FITC is, as we speak, a 44-year-old institution. Over the last 6 years when I joined FITC, it was at the close of 4 decades of the life of this institution. And it's an organization that we're very proud about, founded by the Act and set up by the federal government to support the financial service sector. FITC is governed by the Central Bank of Nigeria, so it's a Central Bank of Nigeria-owned entity. So we totally recognize our origin and history, and we're very proud of it. But we're also very, very certain and particular about the industries and the markets that we serve. And that's the financial service sector, and that's an extremely very important sector to the growth of the economy of Nigeria and the stability of the society that we live in. So riding on the back of that, part of the models that drove our transformation in FITC is something that I created, which is genuine, authentic, and original to FITC. And it's our 6P model. The 6P model. The 6P transformation framework refers to, number 1, program. You can call that product, depending on the sector and industry where you work. 2nd is process. 3rd is platforms. 5th is positioning. 6th is people. And of course, performance. And I will break that down because it's a model that is applicable any day, anytime. And it's something that we also teach in FITC to other leaders like us so that they can leverage our blueprints without reinventing the wheels and recreate and adapt to their own peculiarities. So P, first P, program or product, depending on who you serve, is understanding, like we said in the beginning, the critical stakeholder sphere that we serve, understanding what their needs are, understanding how those needs are changing, understanding the direction they are going, and be able to create solutions that are relevant to their needs. Again, bringing that to life, I can use the COVID reality one more time. Life after COVID was totally different from the first 40 years of FITC, true? And it's also the same for everybody because life has totally changed post-COVID. But in terms of consumer expectation, the platforms through where we consume and purchase, the engagements that we make with people, everything is totally different. So great leaders must understand when those peculiarities begin to emerge and when these changes begin to emerge, so you're not static. To be static is to lose your market, to lose your stakeholder, and lose the opportunities thereby. So our P as program or product, depending on your sector or industry, is very critical. And so that drives innovation and gives you the opportunity to create cutting-edge solutions.
Right, the 6P model.
The second is process. There is nothing you can do without processes. If processes are not cutting edge, then you would always begin to fumble and misplace not just your priorities, but your steps. And so processes help you to be able to create cutting-edge solutions and also deliver. Now, the other is platform. The platform is the engagements platform. So for a retail outlet, for instance, it could be their store. For a bank, it could be channels and all of the places where people purchase. Right. Barely does anybody go into the banking hall, and I'm sure many haven't even gone into any today, but they've done much more transaction than they would have done 5 years ago or 6 years ago in a day or in the blink of a minute. Yeah? So your platforms are very important. How do you position yourself around the platforms so that people engage you positively, creatively, and live positive experiences on those platforms? Another P that is really, really very critical is what we call people. Whether we like it or not, there isn't so much we can do without people. Whether they are your internal people or your stakeholder sphere, you have to build the right partnership with the people on the inside. You have to build the right partnership with the people on the outside. because you need people to do so much, whether it's partnerships with multinational organizations, local and indigenous organizations, even your suppliers, they are partners. So at the end of the day, that's a very critical P. Another P for us, which is also very important, is positioning. The FITC that everybody knew 30 years ago is not the same FITC today. We have totally recreated our story and our organization, connecting with the industry that we serve, have a very, very important private sector outlook that is positioning us to be able to deliver world-class solutions. So positioning FITC, therefore, as a world-class, innovation-driven and technology-led organization. And so that brings a lot of agility, a lot of creativity, a lot of innovation, infusing into the organization visionary young leaders outside of myself. And that cuts across level, irrespective of age. And the last is performance. At the end of the day, we are all working through to ensure we deliver impact and growth. And that's where performance comes in. If you apply all of your P's extremely well, trust me, performance will be on the rise. So
Platform,
6 P.
partnership, proceeds. I'm trying to recall all of them, but 6
I'll give it
Ps.
to you. I'll give it to you one
Ps.
more time. Program or products, depending. Process, which is very important. Platform, which is very critical. That's your channel, depending on where you serve. And then, of course, we've got people. Positioning, which is your branding, and performance. So those are the 6 P framework.
Pleasure having you here with us, Dr. Chizor Malize, the Chief Executive Officer of the Financial Institutions Training Center. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Totally enjoyed coming.